13 races down, one more race to go. It's the season finale, the final race of the 2021 season for the ADAC GT Masters, the League of Super Sports Cars, racing for the title of International German GT Champion. Conditions are much improved from qualifying this morning. The fog has cleared, the rain has moved away, the track has dried out. We are all set for quite a showdown. It's Christopher Mies and Riccardo Feller who won from pole position yesterday, thereby extending their championship lead to 17 points. Mauro Engro and Lucas Stoltz in second place are starting this race from 7th on the grid, so not too far back, but the third in the championship, 23 points off the championship lead, is the number 92 SSR Performance Porsche being driven by Matteo Jaminet, and first stint will be Mikael Ammermuller, and they are starting from second, and they're on the front row of the grid. This is all set to be quite a classic season closer, isn't it, Dave Richardson?
Very much so, and of course, just when you think everything is settled and you think you know which way something is going to go, in motorsport we've learned to expect the unexpected. Klaus Bachler going from pole position then, and P1, Mikael Ammermuller, of course, alongside. But of course, when you're reliant in a championship position on other drivers and other cars, and you know, your destiny is not in your own control, it becomes very, very difficult, doesn't it?
It really does, and you have to say that Christopher Mies and Riccardo Feller have everything in their favour. They just need, well, if they finish in front of their main challengers, then there's nothing that they can do about them, and they just need to keep it pointing in the right direction. They have been very strong all season long in the Monteplas by Land Audi. We are at the Nürburgring. We are using the sprint circuit, and it is a circuit that is 3.629 kilometers around with 11 turns, 4 to the left and 7 to the right, the second shortest circuit on the ADAC calendar, and it has provided an awful lot of entertainment this weekend. Yesterday's race was full of drama, lots of damaged cars, but eventually the win going to our championship leaders, Riccardo Feller and Christopher Mies. Second across the line was Mikael Ammermuller and Matteo Jaminet, and that's what they needed to do to keep their championship on track. And then, of course, they picked up another 2 points in qualifying this morning for that second place on the grid. So Ammermuller and Jaminet just hanging on to it by the skin of their teeth. Also impressive yesterday, finishing third, was Christian Engelhardt, the outgoing champion, one of the outgoing champions, Thomas Preining in the KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsche. Of course, the other of the defending champions is Mikael Ammermuller, and he won with SSR Performance this time last year.
We're looking at the cars that are lining up the first two rows of the grid, and this is Christopher Mies, of course, in the driving seat when it comes to the championship with Riccardo Feller, as we look inside the car. And of course, it's at this point, as a racing driver, you know, the anticipation and the excitement and also the nerves and anxiety really build. It's ahead of the start of the race, and as you can see, there's some grey cloud around, some blue sky trying to peek through as well. The weather conditions, as Brian Oliver has intimated, are significantly better than they were earlier. Marco Holzer then in the KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsche, then car number 74. We've just seen Dries Vanthoor, of course, in the WRT Audi, and we should offer our congratulations to WRT for their success in Bahrain this weekend as well. And the cars are starting up now, and the anticipation and excitement is beginning to build for this, the final showdown of the ADAC GT Masters for season 2021. One that will be remembered for my learned colleague's quote that the championship could come down to the final turn of the final lap of the final race. Do you think it's likely?
It's very much a possibility as the engines are fired up, the cars are lined up in the unique Le Mans style that is unique to the ADAC in GT racing. For one last time, they will soon be pulling out behind the safety car for the first of 2 formation laps because the temperatures have been a lot lower. This is much later in the season than originally anticipated. Of course, this event was due to take place in August, and due to the dreadful floods in the Eifel region, has been rescheduled to November to close the season, much later than normal. And it does mean temperatures are lower. It's just 7.2 degrees and the track temperature 4.7. So 2 formation laps to give the drivers more of a chance to get heat into the tyres and in the brakes. You are riding with Christopher Mies, the driver, along with Riccardo Fella at the top of the championship standings. Of course, he has done this once before. Christopher Mies, the 2016 GT Masters champion. Riccardo Fella has never done it before. And you was there. You were commentating on it, I should think.
I was there. So Christopher Mies then hard at work inside the Monteplaspe Motorsport car. Then, as you can see, weaving from side to side. The ambient and track temperatures, as you've mentioned, Brian, are cold. And therefore, the driver's working really, really hard, weaving from side to side. They're also on and off the brake pedal, trying to generate temperature within the brakes, which are dissipated through the brake discs and calipers into the rims, and from the rims, of course, onto the rubber. In terms of the driver's points, 193 points for Mies and Fella, 176 for Engel and Stolz, and for Chamonix and Ammermuller, 170 points, which means there are 3 pairs of drivers that are still mathematically in with a chance of taking this Drivers' Championship for 2021.
Of course, yes, there are 25 points for a win. So, to be fair, Mathieu Jaminet and Mikael Ammermuller are going to require something pretty dreadful to happen to Christopher Mies, Riccardo Fella, Lucas Stolz and Mauro Engel to stand a chance of this title, but we have seen it many times before. There's a sense of a little bit of last day of school about the atmosphere around the circuit. Let's have a look at the starting grid for the final event of the year. It's Klaus Bachler who puts the Precoat Herbert Motorsport Porsche on the front row. Mikael Ammermuller making it an all Porsche front row. Row 2, Dries Van Tor for WRT. Alongside Christopher Mies, it's an all Audi. Row 2 of the grid. Row 3, Marco Holzer and Thomas Browning, KUS Team Bernhard locking out row 3 of the grid in their Porsches. Then it's Mauro Engel and Franck Pereira, another great driver of the GRT Grasso Racing team. Row 5, Marco Mapelli, also GRT Grasser, alongside Yannis Fitcher in the Team Use Sport Wagon Technique Porsche. Then Marvin Kirchhofer in the Soul Corvette, alongside Patrick Niederhauser for Phoenix Racing. Row 7 of the grid is Hugo Sasser, who's just won in the GT4 race earlier this afternoon, alongside Robert Renauer. And then row 8 of the grid, Dennis Marshall and Clement Schmid. It's an Audi alongside a Lamborghini. Row 9 of the grid, Maxi Book and Nick Yelly, both driver pairings on that row were in contention coming into the last couple of rounds, but certainly not now. Then it's Marcus Winkelhoff and Luca Giotto. We welcome him in the T3 Motorsport Lamborghini alongside Max Paul. Jules Gounon lines up on row 11 alongside Sebastian Ash. And then row 12 of the grid is Pierre Caffa and Christopher Haase, the first ever winner of the GT Masters title, and he lines up 24th place on the grid. And then bringing up the rear, Konstantin Skoll in the Team Zakspeed Mercedes. So 25 cars on the grid, which is plenty enough around this tight little circuit. Best overtaking opportunities, probably into turn 1 and into turn 9. And there's a car that has run off already. Now that shows you that's our pole sitter.
It is.
So that shows you how little traction there really is when someone as experienced and as wise as Klaus Bachler has a moment. Now he wants to get back into that pole position. I believe he's allowed to.
He is.
As long as the rest of the field don't overtake him. But let's have another look at what happened there. And you see
vigorous weaving.
Yeah, and he's lucky he didn't get actually buried in the gravel trap.
Did well to get it out of there, to be honest. So that proves just how difficult it is in terms of temperature and adhesion, Brian.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a bit of a moment there. So his heart will be racing just a little bit more than it should be. He and Mikael Ammermuller will lead the field out towards turn 11. And Klaus Bachler on that pole position. You can see Dries Van Tor chomping at the bit just behind, and they head up past the pit entrance towards turn 11. Ammermuller just holding back a little. He wants to get a run onto Klaus Bachler, but if he goes too fast too soon, he'll be judged to have jumped the start. It's the final race of the season for the ADAC GT Masters. The 4 red lights on the gantry will very shortly go off, and we will be ready to go racing. It's race 14 of this 14 race season, and we are go. Now Klaus Bachler, a great start from him into turn 1. He comes, it's Mikael Landmer just holding on, but here comes Dries Vanthoor on the inside. Here comes a Lamborghini, that's a front Pereira around the outside. Are they all going to make it? It looks like they all do make it around. No, they don't. That's the number 91 car.
Oh, and it's been collected.
Oh, this is going to bring out a safety car for sure.
And we had a Lamborghini behind these two that went around as well. Whether that got collected or not, I don't know, but there was a couple of, that was the Lamborghini that went round.
Is that Hugo Sasser potentially? That's one of the KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsches, and that is with Thomas Preining at the wheel. Yes, indeed, it is Hugo Sasser.
And he shares that car with Tim Zimmerman, of course. The Porsche that he's out is the David Jahn Janis Fischer car. Janis Fischer is out, and also out is the number 11 Audi of Elliot Earhart and Pierre Caffer at the wheel of that car at the moment. So by my reckoning, we've lost maybe 3 or 4 cars before one lap has been completed.
And we thought that might be the case, certainly on this track, with temperatures as they are very easy, particularly in the middle of the pack. And you can see one of the KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsches coming back to the pits just to confirm the safety car is out, of course. There's going to be a bit of a clearer operation required there. Now, Dries Vanthoor,
what happened there?
He was in P3. So why is he at the back of the pack? So we've got an awful lot to untangle here. Dries Vanthoor clearly had a bit of a moment when he was off camera. There is the safety car. It's Bachler who stepped off pole position and led Mikael Ammermuller. Mauro Engel made a good start up to P3. So Ammermuller and Engel doing what they need to do to keep the championship alive, and Mies in P7. So here comes Thomas Preining, and there goes Hugo Sasser, and the other of the Lamborghinis, I think it's Clemens Schmid at the wheel of that one. So not a great day for GRT Grasser, not a great day for Team Bernhard either. He can clearly see where he's going through the gap under the bonnet. We saw Fabian Vettel have a large one in 2019, and we've got a red flag.
Oh,
so
goodness.
So clearly there is some damage. I don't know whether it's damage to the fence or whether it's fluid on the track. And,
it's fluid, I reckon.
Yeah, so hopefully they can clear that up quite quickly.
Where the fluid is just on the exit of the penalty box, of course.
Of course, yes, and they need to keep that in good condition. One of the issues we're going to have here this late in the year, as we look at Ricardo Feller looking on at all that is unfolding in front of him. Now, one of the issues we're going to have here is light, actually. We're late in the afternoon, and red flag, that needs to be short and sharp, really, doesn't it? We're looking again at the start. You could see Maxi Bucher ducking out to the outside, but at the front, it was Bachler who got the jump into turn 1. Ammermuller trying a look on the outside, then tucks back in. And I'm trying to keep an eye on Dries Vanthoor, and you can see the drama at the back, and there's a back end stepping out. And looked like there might have been a bit of contact between Vanthoor and Ammermuller, actually. So the rest of the cars came through, and it was Janis Fischer on the outside, just getting tagged and turned around and then collected. That was a big impact.
But to be fair to Pierre Caffer, where could he go?
No, absolutely. You're blind in the pack of cars, aren't you? There was Sasser going spinning as well, not enjoying the level of success in GT Masters as he is in GT4. Look at that, 4 abreast into the first corner. And it looked like it was Marcus Winkelhock that might have been the initial car that tagged the car in front. You could see yellowly on the inside of there, looking back at Sasser, and
sideswipe, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looks like Sasser just losing traction, to be quite honest. And you can see now there's Winkelhock getting into the 16 car, being driven by Clemens Schmid. So Winkelhock in the thick of the action as well. This is the view on board with Christopher Mies. Of course, championships are won or lost in moments like this, and Mies just needs to keep out of trouble, keep his nose clean, and not get involved in any dramas.
What he does not. Oh.
And that's what happened to Dries Vanthoor, and he got tagged by Preining. So we saw Preining with the bonnet up, So it was Preining who had got into Dries Vanthoor.
Here it comes.
And on the inside, Mauro Engel.
Mauro, yeah.
So whether the stewards will have something to say about that remains to be seen.
I rather think the stewards are going to have quite a lot to look at.
They are, and you can see Vanthoor just heading backwards into the corner, and of course that caused Preining's bonnet, hood, whatever you want to call it, to lift up. And a lively first lap. We anticipated it was going to be pretty lively here for the last race of the season, and that has very much come to pass. So the obligatory gaffer tape is brought out, colour-coded of course, the red and black gaffer tape. And the front of that car is strapped up as best as possible. Preining is going to lose a lap though as a result of this. I think will he lose a lap? He's shown as 1 lap down already, as is Sasser and Schmid. Of course, Janis Fichter and Pierre Caffer very much out of the running.
No, it's not going. There you can see Bernard actually saying no.
Yeah. But, I mean, they would be fighting for the scraps. They're a lap down in the rest of the field. And there comes a time when you say, OK, that's enough. Let's put it back on the trailer. We'll try again next year. So not...
Teams are standing by, so forgive me interrupting you, desperately trying to get out onto the track now. Medical attention is being administered here.
Yeah, and that's not good to see. And it was quite an impact that Janis Fichter took, being collected. And I think it is Fichter, as opposed to Pierre Caffer, who is receiving attention.
Oh, and that looks like Dries Vanthoor.
Yes, it is Dries Vanthoor, and he's
off to have a word with someone, I suspect.
Yes,
and that someone is probably going to be. No, so Dries has just got out of the car because, of course, all the cars have been brought back to the start-finish line, and he's just taking a look at all the damage that has been inflicted. I mean, with all due respect to Dries, who is a fine driver, he has returned the car on both races this weekend, looking somewhat different to how it started. Far from his fault, I may add.
Well, that's what makes a racing driver, isn't it? Not scared to mix it. And can't hear quite what's been said. The start will be under investigation. We have no notification of when we will be going. Clearly, the well-being of Janis Fichter is the top priority.
That is Christian Engelhardt that you can see there. Incidentally, whilst Brian is looking at all the connotations that are coming out of this, under investigation for an inaccurate grid position is Clemens Schmidt.
Yes, and of course Clemens Schmid was involved in that first lap incident anyway, so I would suggest that his afternoon is probably not going to involve scoring points. And we've got a helicopter landing, so it looks like the air ambulance might have been called for. So the helicopter's just swept over our studio, and will no doubt be attending to the drivers that are involved in that incident. It's out on turn 2, and there was quite a big impact. You can see the helicopter just landing there to the right of your picture. Of course, the reason we're running late is because the helicopter couldn't fly because of the fog earlier on today. Vital part of the safety. We're having another look here at that start, and it was Marcus Winkelhock in the 69 car. Now, whether he was being pushed from behind by, that would be Luca Giotto, not too sure of that, but an awful lot of just jostling and moving around within the pack. And you can see, I mean, there were 5, maybe even 6 abreast.
And Janis Fichter comes back on, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he gets turned around, and then, of course, he's now pointing in the right direction, but at that point, Pierre Caffer had got absolutely nowhere he could go, and therefore there was big impact.
Yeah, completely unsighted. So, having another look here, and that's the Dries Vanthoor Mauro Engel moment. And you can see all the drama unfolding behind. So the cars are on the grid. We clearly have got a delay whilst the situation on turn 2 is resolved, and attention is given to Janis Fichter, and we send our best wishes to him and to Pierre Caffer. Mara Engel's body language says it all. Of course, the teams are allowed to work on the cars under red flag conditions. I expect, I'm imagining, the race duration might actually be reduced when this gets going, because I think that the light is starting to fade here already. We're running late into the afternoon, and it's been a bit of a squeeze. It's been a busy weekend on the ADAC schedule. Many spectators that have packed into the Nürburgring this weekend have been thoroughly entertained, but it's been coming thick and fast all day today with Formula 4, GT4, TCR, one race after another, and it has been a very busy day. And of course, this the showpiece of the day is the last race, and under these red flag conditions, just while the situation on turn 2 is sorted out. We look at the Team TalkSport WRT working on the car of Maro Engel that he is sharing with Lucas Stoltz. They are championship contenders, 17 points behind Christopher Mies. So Engel is showing as 3rd at the moment. Mies is showing as 7th. Ammermuller is showing as 2nd. So for 3rd place, they would get 16 points, and that would not be enough if things remained as they are, particularly at 7th place. If things finished as they are, would give Christopher Mies and Ricardo Feller 9 points. So still plenty of drama to come.
All the way to the white line. He saw. At that point, he has to give me some space. It's always the same method. Yeah,
Dries Venter and Maro Engel having a little discussion then. Of course, those two came together.
And interesting, what could they be doing with tyres at this stage? Are they maybe inspecting what's behind it as opposed to changing?
So they can get access perhaps to the front of the car, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it, doesn't it? And Mikael Ammermuller at the car at the moment. So as you can see, all the various dramas that have unfolded are under investigation. And the stewards will no doubt be working long and hard. Sven Stopper, who does a fabulous job controlling it and directing everything here at the ADAC, working hard with his crew, and they have many camera angles.
But of course, he ultimately will be minded that light will be at a premium.
Yes, absolutely. And they've already, well, the race is starting a quarter of an hour later than was originally scheduled. They'd already tried to pack the busy schedule up a little bit to make the most of the light this late in the season. And this red flag is the thing they didn't need, really.
So in fairness, I think they're looking at the rim on that.
So for it to be changed for another one, they will need to prove to the ADAC that it is damaged and that replacement is necessary.
For safety reasons.
Yes, absolutely. Tyre changes not permitted unless it's from wet to dry tyres or dry to wet tyres. But apart from that, tyre changes not permitted during a race. And having said that, under red flag conditions, it might be that there is an exception in the rule to that. But at the moment, they put the wheel back on. There is Ricardo Feller and Christopher Mies. And itching to get their hands on that trophy. Christopher Mies has said to his team he's going to take them all to Mallorca if they win the championship. He made that promise earlier in the season. He might be regretting that now because they are the very much the favourites for the championship, and we hope that we are going to be concluding that very shortly.
So it's nice to listen into the conversations. Regrettably, Brian and I are very good at translating. Otherwise, we would bring you the information that's being spoken. And there's Christian Engelhardt looking on. And again,
Und wir könnten nur von ganz hinten.
Ich bin von der Ampel zurückgekommen.
Not able to.
Not able to tell you what they're saying. When this race resumes, well, there are 20 cars on the grid, so we have lost 5 cars so far. Preining, Sasser and Schmid are all in the pits at the moment and have been since the red flag came out. The last runner is Dries Vanthoor.
Patrick Niederhaus, all of a sudden, was quiet there.
It's quite shifty, wasn't
it?
Yeah, so was whispering something. Niederhauser in 8th place at the time of the stoppage. We look again at all the drama that unfolded.
Please may I interrupt you?
Please do.
Head teacher. But just before we cross to this replay of the number 91 car being collected of Janis Fitcher, I think I saw the Dries Vanthoor car in the garage.
Interesting.
Because it was on the grid.
I mean, the timing screen doesn't say it's in the garage, but that could well be the case because the timing screen may not have updated. Riding on board with Maxi Book, and currently in 10th place and in the middle of all that scrapping as well. So you can see a lot of jostling for position. Of course, the start of a race is a great opportunity to make a lot of places, but it's also a great opportunity to throw it all away. And you can see just a gaggle of cars crowding into what is a fairly narrow piece of track, and that is Winkelhock getting into the back of Clement Schmid, potentially maybe Luca Giotto involved as well. And that's a great replay, and that was Preining collecting Dries Vanthoor,
who went round and around.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't look like he's got any damage, which is more than be said for Thomas Preining, and he has definitely not gained anything from that particular incident, has he?
No, and that is Yellowly alongside the number 82 car of Hugo Sasser and Tim Zimmerman.
Had some great shots of all of these cars. The cameras mounted, well, in this instance, on the splitter. And here's one, this will be on the side of the Morrow Engel car. Hear the growl of that Mercedes. And a little bit of a thump there. So, Engel was potentially the one that fired Preining into Vanthoor. Now we're looking back at Thomas Preining. You can't get away with anything here with these cameras, can you? So there's Preining. And there is Engel coming through as well in the pink Mercedes. And then this is where the drama has happened already there. It's a little bit out of shot. Some great camera angles, and looking at the mighty power plant of the Audi. Right, this is the view from Morrow Engel. And you can see as he goes around the outside, there's Preining in front of him. Heading into the sun, Preining goes to shut the door. There's contact, and fair to say Dries Vanthoor very much the innocent victim in all of that. And Thomas Preining in the front of the car, looking distinctly second-hand. It's the last race of the season for these cars. Be nice if they can take them home in one piece, though. So we're still under red flag conditions at the moment. We are still waiting news from turn 2 where that incident occurred. And we look on at championship challengers for Morrow Engel, and he sharing with Lucas Stoltz. The gaffer tape has been applied, the winglet has been reattached, and the car looks pretty ready to go. So drivers out the cars because it is under red flag conditions.
Now that is Dries Vanthoor.
Yes.
Was ist mit dem Start passiert? Seine Reihe hat keine Start oder?
Right, here we go, and you can see it looks like the driver. Now I'm guessing is Janis Fitcher, who has been taken to the ambulance. I haven't seen Pierre Caffer. but it looked to be around Fitcher's car. Most of the attention was centering. But whichever way, both those drivers, we wish them well, and a lot of precautions taken. Often the drivers are taken to the medical centre for a checkup after a big impact, just to make sure all is well.
Also in the pit lane, one of the Grasser Racing Team cars, that the number 16 car of Clemens Schmidt, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's Clemens Schmidt, who was involved at the start. Don't know where Hugo Sasser is at the moment. Can't see him, but he's been shown as in the pit. And, well, that's good. Clemens Schmidt is able to rejoin. So he pulls out of the pit lane. He will be a lap down when this race restarts, though. And the roar of that Lamborghini. The Lamborghini, which has found a bit of form in the second part of this season. Now, interesting here, second place, Mikael Ammermuller, his car, his SSR team, are looking. There was that little bit of contact earlier on in the opening lap. Well, we only had one lap, so there was a bit of contact, and I wonder if there's been a bit of damage.
Oh, and look at the fading light.
Yes, very picturesque over the Nürburgring, but light is going to be an issue, and no further action between car 10 and 82, so that's Hugo Sasser and Nick Yellowly. So the stewards are not going to be taking any action over that. That will be deemed to be a racing incident. Hope the headlights are working on these cars, because they can't really run in the dark too well. Looking at the SSR team as they look on. And hopefully for them that this car is all okay. I was mentioning just before we focused on that, the Lamborghini, which hadn't taken a win in the GT Masters for 2 years, over 2 years, finally broke that duck with 2 wins out of 2 at Hockenheim last time round. The GRT Grasser Lamborghini winning both races. One race was Mirko Bortolotti and Marco Mappelli. The other went to Rolf Nijken and Frank Pereira. So the Lamborghini has found a bit of pace, and Frank Pereira...
Forgive me, we're going to restart at 16:17, so 10 minutes from now.
So 10 minutes, and it is going to be a bit tight against the light. There's a little rhyme for you. You can see both cars unceremoniously being put onto the back of trucks. So now it's just time for the race marshals, who do a fantastic job to clean the track up. And those 2 cars, well, it's just as well at the end of the season for them. The number 91 Team Use Sportwagen Technique car, really, do we want to see that again, has been very impressive all year long. David Jahn and Janus Fitcher have been driving it, and they have shown very well indeed. They got a 6th place at the Lausitz Ring, but have been, and also actually at the Red Bull Ring, but have been very much at the front end of the field for much of the season. Clearly that won't be the case today. Right, so we are 9 minutes away, less than 8.5 minutes away from the restart of this race. It is going to be a race against the light, and also a race for the championship. It'll be Klaus Bachler from Mikael Ammermuller and that car there, Morrow Engel. To remind you, it's Christopher Mees, Ricardo Feller, who lead the championship by 17 points. They are currently 7th on the track, and if the race finished as it is now, they would be champions. In second in the points, it's Morrow Engel and Lucas Stoltz. They are currently 3rd on the track. That's 17 points adrift. And then Mathieu Jaminet and Mikael Ammermuller currently 2nd on the track, but they are 23 points adrift, and they will need something to befall both Engel, Stoltz, and also the Mies and Feller cars for them to be the first team ever to successfully defend their GT Masters title. The SSR Performance team are the defending champions. Mikael Ammermuller, the defending champion driver. His co-driver last year was Christian Engelhardt, and Engelhardt running in the KS Team 75 Bernhard car this year, not in contention for the championship now. 2 laps behind the safety car, so that's sensible, because what we want is heat in the tyres and in the brakes. Otherwise, we're just going to end up behind the safety car again. and we don't want that. So there'll be a couple of laps around the safety car. As soon as the safety car is moving, the clock will start ticking down. It says 57 minutes and 46 seconds at the moment. To remind you, there is a pit window that is scheduled to open when the clock strikes 35, i.e. 25 minutes into the race. When that window opens, every car will be required to visit the pit lane within the 10 minutes that follows. And during that pit stop, they will be required to perform a mandatory driver change. And that always throws a completely random element into the race at about halfway. The audience have been thoroughly entertained here. It's been good to welcome spectators back after a year and a half of what has been high trauma around the world, and it's just great to have a sense of normality as we have spectators back at the race circuit, albeit in limited numbers. We sincerely hope that next year we will have some kind of normality. Next year the season kicks off on the 22nd of April at Oschersleben, and very much the usual GT Masters pattern in May. 20th of May we will head to the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Round 3 will be at Zandvoort in the Netherlands on the 24th to the 26th of June. And then it'll be the Nürburgring back here at the beginning of August. Sachsenring also in August, a couple of weeks later. Sachsenring in September, and then the season will come to a close at the venue it was meant to have come to a close this year, and that will be Hockenheim on the 21st of October. A lot of drivers and teams already committing to the championship next year. T3 Motorsport are going to be increasing their involvement to 2 Lamborghinis. Zach Speed have already said they're going to have 2 cars involved. We also look forward next year to the debut of the BMW M4, the M6 enjoying its last ever race in GT Masters today. The Audi R8 is going to have a facelift. It'll be the Evo 2 kit that comes out, and all sorts of other headlines as we proceed with season 2022 next year. Something to look forward to when April comes around. But we still have the small matter of the 2021 championship to be resolved, and that is going to fire back into life in 3 minutes time. You can see Clemens Schmid lined up at the end of the pit lane, so he will have to join at the end of the queue. He is a lap down. You can see the leaves blowing across the track on this autumnal afternoon here at the Nürburgring. And we look there at our championship leaders, Christopher Mies at the wheel, and Ricardo Feller will be taking over. You can see from the clock that the time has been reduced, the fading light clearly been taken into account. So the race has been reduced to 43 minutes, and that will possibly move the pit stop window as well.
Yes, I'm sure you're right. Thank you. Mikael Ammermuller there. You could see the focus and concentration. It's really hard for a racing driver when and every driver has a different setup in terms of getting themselves ready for a race. They go through their routines.
Yeah.
And they get into the car. There are very few drivers that don't have some sort of routine or tradition that they like to adhere to. When you've done that, and you haven't even completed a lap, and you've stopped, and you've got to reset, re-energize all over again, haven't you?
Yeah, it breaks the rhythm completely. Waiting for start line and saying, there's some great shots inside the cars. I love it.
I have to say, the onboards that we have in the ADAC GT Masters are exemplary.
I love being able to see you've got the tyre pressures and everything all on display. Obviously, we're looking inside the Porsche at the moment of Mikael Ammermuller, and that's the 21st century answer to a rear view mirror, because you can't see out the back window of these things. So they now have a camera and a small screen.
Yep.
And well, why not? Right, instruction is being given. So very soon we will be underway. The engines are going to be running, and this race will be back underway. A shortened race.
I think they'll let Clemens Schmid out.
Wow, indeed. Well, that's it makes sense.
So this will unlap him.
Now, well, I'm not sure whether that will or not, whether that will count. The good bit is he'll be able to put heat into the tyres, and the brakes will see from the timing screens whether he does. I don't think he's going to be troubling the point scorers this afternoon anyway, so it's potentially a moot point.
Did we get to the bottom of my thinking that Dries Vanthoor's in the garage?
I have not seen anything to suggest that he is. We haven't got a shot of the back of the grid. I forgot to look when he
That's it. Stand up in our studio.
I'm actually craning my head out of the window. I've got to be careful not to fall out, actually, just to see if I can see his car. And just about see the back of the grid. I think we would have seen some shots if he had not been. He's been shown on the timing screen as on track. And Clemens Schmid has now been shown on track as well. So I think he is he's out on track.
Okay.
So
we're looking at the Mikael Ammermuller car at the moment, and yet another impressive display to really please my colleague alongside me, who's something of a fascination for onboard displays, you know.
It's all out there now, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is. There's no secrets here, you know. There is Maro Engel, then the hastily repaired front end of the Maro Engel car. Pit stop window is going to be between 16:24 and 16:34, so it's going to come around very, very quickly, isn't it? So yes. Lucas Stoltz is going to be getting ready to get in the car between 16:24 and 16:34. There's another display for you with a flashing red light. Do you like that one?
Yeah, I think it tells us it's a red flag, either that or there's a red alert going on somewhere. But the engines are running 1 minute before we are able to go back racing. This is race 14 of a 14 race season. We are at the Nürburgring for the final race of the season, and
where is the?
Is that in there? I'm pointing at the screen for those who are listening.
Possibly. In which case it was... it wouldn't have been allowed in the garage and out again, would it?
Well, Schmid did, so I would say it might be. It could potentially visit. He is the last of the runners on the lead lap, so he's not been shown as in the garage now. He may well have been in, had some work done, come back out. He's parked at a jaunty angle, I think we would say. You don't think that's him?
No, I really don't.
That's Winkelhock that would be there. They're all going to sort themselves out. Well, we will let you know very shortly.
I mean, it could be that car. Again, I'm pointing at this.
Yes, this means nothing to anybody.
We need a camera in the studio, don't we?
No, we don't. Trust me, we really don't. We'll find out shortly. Okay, safety car is rolling.
Keep your eyes peeled, because I hate being wrong, and I know I am millions of times. But
never, wouldn't hear of it. The clock is ticking, and the race is underway. So we're effectively now back underway behind the safety car. The pit stop window, as we've already mentioned, between 16:24. It's currently 16:17 local time. So that is going to open in 7 minutes. Oh, it's a bit of maths there.
All the lights are on the cars, and they're going to need to be, aren't they? Mikael Ammermuller, apart from Maro Engels, whose lights probably aren't working.
They're probably gone. So the clock ticks away. 42 minutes of this race remaining under fading conditions. It's a dramatic season closer for the ADAC GT Masters, for the first time racing for the title of International German GT Champion.
So as we watch the cars come through turn 2, there's Markus Winkelhock, and there is Christopher Mies weaving from side to side then. Of course, he has got to re-energise everything, hasn't he, and get that car back to where he needs it to be. This is Mikael Ammermuller, who, of course, as the safety car was called for, was in that P2 position, which means he follows Klaus Bachler. You can just see the car ahead, and it's the Klaus Bachler car that is following the safety car at the moment, 2 laps behind the safety car.
And weirdly, the pit window, I think the graphic was wrong. It said pit window opening in 40 seconds, but that's changed now to formation lap 2. I was just thinking they wouldn't open the pit window earlier than normal with the race shortened. The race is underway at the moment, albeit behind the safety car, which means they cannot overtake, but the race is actually running, and that is why the clock is ticking down. There is our championship leader just coming through your picture. I can tell you that Dave is staring, looking for Dries Vanthoor, because he wants to know.
Dries, give me a track, please. Just give me a text.
If you're listening, give us a wave. I haven't seen him yet. I'm sure he is out there. He has not been shown. Dave, well...
You're going to apologise to me?
No, I've never apologised to you. Nothing of it. The timing screen is not showing much action from Dries Vanthoor's perspective. We're going to find out any second now, because they're coming past our studio window, and the number 32 car has not come past. So I am not going to say those words. Right, you and were. I am not going to say those. So you can forget that.
Would. Afraid of that word that begins with S. This is Mikael Ammermuller. And Mikael Ammermuller and Matteo Jamanet then. of course, share that Porsche, who still mathematically are in with a championship shout, but it is only mathematically. It's going to be a long haul, isn't it?
It really is. It really is in favour with Christopher Mies, and of course he'd be happy if this race just carried on behind the safety car with the clock ticking down. Because yes, as you were, that'll be fine. Thank you very much. P7. Well, if he finishes in P7, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. They're not going to catch him. So Christopher Mies, he just needs to keep on doing what he's doing. But there is still a little under 40 minutes of this race remaining, and anything can happen.
Penalty lap is being awarded to car number 16. You'll see it on the graphics in a few moments. The safety car is coming in this lap, and almost as soon as the safety car is in, these poor drivers are going to get 2 proper racing laps. Then they could be in for the potentially could be in for the pit stop window.
Absolutely, and the team will be strategizing when is the best time to bring them in.
Strategizing
when they are going to get the biggest benefit from that mandatory stop. You can see the safety car is already in the pit lane. Klaus Bachler has backed them up, and Mikael Ammermuller is in second place, trying to anticipate. But Bachler has already hit the accelerator out of turn 11. He's got a gap on Mikael Ammermuller. Mauro Engel, Frank Pereira following, then Marco Holzer, Marvin Kirchhofer. That's a good result for 77 if he can stay there. Into turn 1, Mikael Klaus Bachler. That looks like the 33 of Dennis Marshall, just ducking out slightly. And Marvin Kirchhofer and Marco Holzer racing together. Holzer in front, but Kirchhofer challenging for that position. That's Patrick Niederhauser and Jules Gounon, who's good at coming through the pack. You're waving.
Mauro Engel has got a drive-through penalty for causing a collision.
Wow. Well, that might well conclude the championship as far as he's concerned, because a drive-through penalty will put him to the back of the pack, because the pack is completely lined up in a single file.
And he had got by Ammermuller.
Oh my goodness. So the Team TalkSport WRT will be distraught about that. Because this was going to be their best chance of fighting back in the championship. It got past Ammermuller, but the field are running close together. A drive-through penalty, which he must take within the next 3 laps, will drop him a long way down the order, and that will give Ammermuller a free run at Klaus Bachler.
And it's going to come at a horrible time, isn't it? Because it's going to come. He needs to take it early on, because otherwise he's going to be mired with other cars going into the pit lane for their driver change.
And you can't really do the 2 at the same time, so he's going to have to do one separately.
He hasn't come in this time, so it surely is going to... Surely the team will be appealing it. Of course they will.
Yes, absolutely. And he knows. And this will be bye-bye championship potential.
You can see the fury on his face through the visor. I'm sorry, Brian.
There's steam coming out, I think. He's challenging at the front. It's Klaus Bachler, and still looking for their first race win of the season. Mauro Engel and Lucas Stoltz. They looked possible as he goes to the outside of Klaus Bachler. It looked possible they could win the championship without winning a race. He's taken the lead. Maybe that was the incentive he needed, but that lead is going to be short-lived. But now Klaus Bachler is fighting back. Mikael Ammermuller in the background, waiting to pick up the pieces. If these two get together, as is Frank Pereira, the first 4 breaking away slightly. It's Mauro Engel, the new leader of this race, but he has to visit the pits for a drive-through penalty, and that is going to ruin his afternoon.
For sure, he will be more frustrated than a frustrated thing, because even whilst he was taking, look at the gap he's already been able to build over Klaus Bachler and all of that good work. I think the fury is what's driving him on. He's got another 4 brake horsepower from temper, in my opinion.
Yes, absolutely.
He's not coming this time. And this is going to clash now, because the pit window is about to open.
Oh, my goodness. And so he will have to visit the pits twice. He could get caught up in all the traffic. You do wonder whether the team are protesting this.
How often do you see that rescinded?
Yeah, well, I've never seen it rescinded. I don't think I've ever seen it rescinded in my memory. Anyway, so Mauro Engel, I think it's probably going to be a bit of a slam dunk, because they've had an awful long time to look at video evidence. They will have made their mind up. and I don't think they are likely to reverse that. So Engel from Bachler, Ammermuller, who wants to get past Klaus Bachler, is potentially the leader of this race, because Mauro Engel will have to visit the pits for a drive-through penalty.
Maxi Book has come in early on.
That makes a lot of sense, because Book was caught up in the traffic at the back of the pack. Get in, get out on a bit of empty track. That'll be Raffaele Marciello, of course, who takes over, and with a bit of open track, potentially undercut a few of the cars that were in front.
Absolutely. Good strategy, or strategization, by the team, as we try and find as many iterations of that word as we can during the course of this race. So the pit window is open. It's a 10-minute window where every car has to come into the pit lane and do a driver exchange. Now, the thing is, there is a mandatory time that you have to be in the pit lane as well, Brian, isn't there? And if you shortcut that, you get penalised.
You certainly do. 70 seconds from pit entry to pit exit, as Ammermuller, is that Ammermuller? Yes, it is, who ducks into the pit lane nice and early. So he is going to try and undercut Klaus Bachler. It'll be Mathieu Jaminet who takes over the driving duties. Mathieu Jaminet, the 2018 ADAC GT Masters champion, teamed up with the defending GT Masters champion. They're going to try and undercut Klaus Bachler nice and early into the pits. 70 seconds from pit entry to pit exit they mustn't go below that time. If they do, they will pick up a penalty, which is why you have that countdown clock at the side of their name. If the little P sign turns red, it means they have gone below that time and they are likely to pick up a penalty. You can see the driver swap taking place. It's Ammermuller out, Jaminet in. Very limited as to what the teams are allowed to do on the cars under green flag conditions. There's only 2 mechanics allowed to work on the car at one time. The driver is in, and Ammermuller's work is done for this season. You can go and have a sit down and enjoy Christmas now, because Mathieu Jaminet is going to take the car to the end of the season. And are they going to get the undercut of Klaus Bachler? Because potentially he's going to get out on an absolutely empty track. The only other car anywhere near is Raffaele Marciello.
Time to perfection.
Absolutely brilliant. And you can see, look at that, that's their dream, an empty track. In front and behind, the rest of the field are coming around turn 11 at the moment, so they are well ahead of them, and of course they all have to make a pit stop. So interesting strategy, very good strategy from SSR Performance, as they bring that car in nice and early in the window. A pretty short stint of driving for Michael Ammermuller.
Yes. I know your knowledge of the GT Masters is encyclopedic, but this we must focus on. Christopher Mies is in, Ricardo Feller will be taking over. Now, this is absolutely critical because they want to undercut as many cars as possible.
They do. This is a championship at stake. Championships are won or lost on pit stops many a time. You can see that Mies is out. He holds the seat insert across the pit lane. Not the entire seat. That would do some damage. Ricardo Feller is in for his last stint of the season. So Mies, his final duty for the team this year will be to help Feller get strapped and buckled into the car. He wishes him good luck. He slams the door shut. The car bursts into life. Now, the critical bit is to get out onto the track without losing loads of time, but without going underneath that minimum time. You can see the stopwatch, time to perfection. I'm looking at that screen. 8, 7, 6, 5. There's the line. 4, 3, 2, 1, and Eureka. So, 0.66 tenths of a second. That's a sloppy, isn't it?
They didn't back time that very well, did they? Here's the Corvette going by. Now, the thing is, what I wanted to say before we saw Christopher Mies come in and Ricardo Feller take over is, I know your knowledge of the rules and regulations of the GT Masters is encyclopedic. Is there something that would prevent Mauro Engel from taking a drive-through penalty if the pit window is open?
Well, I don't know the rules that well. There may be that they are plotting that, but a drive-through penalty means passing through the pits at a set speed, and you're not allowed to stop and have the car worked on. So I would suggest that the mandatory pit stop will have to be separate from that.
Oh no, and you misunderstand me. What I'm saying is, because the pit lane is busy, does that mean that you cannot use the pit lane for a drive-through penalty?
Yes, well that is, we're in the realms of Appendix 29B, really, aren't we? Because that is a connotation conditions that almost cannot be legislated for. He leads the race at the moment. He's certainly done at least 3 laps since that drive-through penalty was awarded.
Which also may mean that the TalkSport team are indeed appealing that decision, which of course I think they do have a right to. The likelihood of that being rescinded, I should think, is unlikely, but
exceptionally so.
After saying that, nothing further, and he's certainly not coming in either for the drive-through penalty or the mandatory stop. Let's see if he does it at the conclusion of this lap. Here he comes now.
Nope, he's still hustling that car across the curbs, sparks showering from underneath it, so he has no intention of visiting the pits. It's his last stint behind the wheel this year. He's going to get as much out of it as he can, heading into the setting sun. Mauro Engel, we're into the final 30 minutes of the 2021 season of the ADAC GT Masters. Engel, who's taken the lead from Klaus Bachler, but has a drive-through penalty hovering over him like a giant axe. He is the main challenger to Christopher Mies and Ricardo Feller. He is behind them, though, as is his teammate Luke Stoltz. Mauro Engel, of course, driver partnership. They are 17 points behind the Monteplas by Land duo who lead this championship. They've got a lot of work to do. If the race finished now, well, currently Feller is out of the points, but of course the front 12 cars all have to make a mandatory stop yet.
It's still, as we cross the halfway point of the pit window, it's still a lot of cars that have not pitted, in my opinion. It's still going to be very busy.
It is. I was expecting more in, to be quite honest, because they were so bunched up together after the safety car. But clearly the teams have a lot of data, a lot of information. They know what's best.
Here comes Lucas Stolz getting ready. Now, but this would be for the driver change.
Yes,
drive through.
Absolutely.
Oh, Mauro threw it across the curves in a fit of temper.
Right, here he comes.
Mauro is a really even-tempered, lovely man.
So, what can they do about this drive-through penalty? So clearly there is a lot of discussion taking place. So into the pits he comes. Surely this is going to be for Lucas Stoltz, and he's still shaking his head. So it's not been rescinded, has it?
This is going to be the drive-through.
So straight back out, straight round, straight back in again. You can see the frustration. They've had a whole raft of second places all season long, yet to get their first win of this season.
Now look here. This is Ricardo Feller up against the big Mercedes Raffaele Marciello now, because of course Maxi Boot was the first into the pit lane.
Yeah. So they're together on track, and actually I think that number 70 man filter team Landraff HGB Winward Motorsport Mercedes to give it its title.
Boy, doesn't that roll off the top.
Well, and oh no, so Engel, actually we saw the red P to mean he's gone below the minimum pit stop time, but that's I got a little excited there. You know, that's the computer has just picked it up as below the minimum pit stop time. That will be reset and we'll go grey again. I have no doubt. I expect he will be back into the pits next time around, but you can see he has dropped 10 places as a result of that drive-through penalty. The only way you can summarise that is ouch.
Yes.
Front Pereira, second place, behind Klaus Bachler, so he's been pretty solid and consistent. Jules Gounon in P3. Now, he's a driver that you discount at your peril. He's yet to make his stop, and has a real habit of just being there at the end. And Nick Yellowly, with his last drive in the BMW M6 before it is parked up. Right, here come a whole raft of cars, including our leader. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. Yes,
for the second time of asking.
9th and 10th. So all of the remaining cars are back into the pit. So Engel is back in. And don't undo the belts too soon, or you might be revisiting the pit lane. They're a bit hot on that, I'll have you know. So he...
Aren't we the headmaster today?
Yes, quiet boy. And here he comes in towards his pit box and comes to a stop on the marks. And here comes Lucas Stoltz ready to take over. I should think that Mauro Engel is going to probably go at the back and kick something quite hard, because he clearly is not a happy man, as you would expect.
I have to say, given everything else that went on, it was a tough call, but there wasn't really a car's width.
No, No, absolutely.
And of course, you've got to look at the consequence of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, if you ruin somebody's race, it's only fair that your race is ruined, to put it in basic terms. Right, you can see the cars now coming out. Right, here we go. Now look at this. This is Matteo Jaminet, who's come out of the pits ahead of Simone Di Silvestro. And Di Silvestro, who took over from Klaus Bachler, who was the leader, from Pereira remains behind. So the undercut has been achieved.
Yep.
SSR Performance, that's exactly what they needed to do. They got the car in early, got it back out on open track. Jaminet has been hustling it for the last couple of laps. And when it all shakes out, he's in front of Simone Di Silvestro, and she is going to come under pressure from Pereira.
And Joel Eriksson.
And Joel Eriksson in there, as well as is Igor Balilko and Yusuf Awega. And Bleak Machine on standby. Moro Henkel in the garage. And yeah, I think you should probably go and sit in the dark room and think about something else for a while, because that's not the afternoon they anticipated, and very much takes them out of the championship challenge, to be fair. You can see the car bumping across the curbs, and a great slow-mo replay, and sees how much stick these cars take in the hands of these drivers. And here comes our leader, Matteo Jaminet. Right, where is our championship leader, Riccardo Fella, all the way down in 11th place. So Matteo Jaminet doing what he needs to do, but Fella down in 11th.
So I know that you're going to start working on the abacus again now, aren't you?
I've got my shoes and socks off, what do you know?
You carry on, stand by. I'll talk about what we can see on screen. But look at the lead that Jaminet has got over Di Silvestro. And Rolf Nijken, of course, who is now in that Lamborghini. And Joel Eriksson pushing Rolf Nijken for all that Joel is worth. So it is a real age battle here, because Rolf Nijken, he will forgive me for saying, a more mature driver with the young whippersnapper that is Joel Eriksson right behind him. There is the number 29 car, which Brian was talking about, in the hands of Riccardo Fella, which is now just been passed by Mirko Bortolotti, if the screen is to be believed. So the graphics there indicating, and sure enough, Bortolotti is ahead. Wow! Oh, and a big clunk into the back of the black Mamba Mercedes. My goodness.
Well, according to my calculations, I might be wrong, I normally am, if the race finished now, then Riccardo Fella and Christopher Mies would lead by 2 points.
Oh my God.
Matteo Jaminet and Mikael Ammermuller.
That is close.
SSR Performance are doing everything that they need to do.
When you did those calculations, where was Riccardo Fella?
He was in 11th.
Oh,
so
you're a point out. You're a point out.
3. Well, there you go. I don't know how they've come to that conclusion. So, 3 points in it. So, suddenly, what was looking like an almost certain championship for Mies and Fella is very much under stress.
Well, what they've got to do, they've just got to finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I mean, Matteo Jaminet can do no more than he's doing now. He's got 4.5 seconds up the road from Simone Di Silvestro.
Yeah, absolutely.
He cannot do any more than win the race.
No, Riccardo Fella needs to get a scoot on now. Who's behind Riccardo Fella? It's Sven Muller, who is 1.9 seconds behind.
So Fella has just lost out to Mirko Bortolotti.
I wonder if there's some problems with that car.
Well, you know, it doesn't look like it, to be fair. I suspect what Fella is doing is thinking, do you know what, I'm not going to fight with drivers, because, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can ill afford to pick up any damage here.
But if he lets too many more through, then the points are going to be gone. We've got an investigation for 3rd place from Pereira for an unsafe release from the pits. So that could have implications if he gets a drive-through penalty. That would help.
That's Rolf Nijken in the car now, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. So, yes, number 19. Check it, double checking that. Yes, it is Rolf Nijken who's taken over. Timing screen say front Pereira, but yes, that is correct. So, yes, an unsafe release. If that is the case, he will probably get a drive-through penalty. That would actually help.
That would help.
Fella.
Yeah.
Right, there's the Jesse Krohn BMW, and that's a challenge on Yusuf Awega. Awega is in 6th place, Krohn in 7th, logically, and Kim Lewis Schramm behind. There's Krohn looking on the inside of Yusuf Awega. Awega, who has been very, very good this year in his debut in the GT Masters. He was pretty quick in GT4 last year, has stepped up to GT Masters and has not disappointed in that car, which is, of course, the Phoenix Racing Audi. 6th place, and he would be very happy to come away with that. 5th is his season best and could easily improve on that in this. There's still plenty of time to go. We've still got 20 minutes of this race. I hate to repeat myself, this could go down to the last corner of the last lap, because 3rd in the championship, Matteo Jaminet, Mikael Lemmermuller, currently leading this race. Championship leader, Ricardo Feller / Christopher Mies, down in 11th. So they've picked up a place from, they were 12th, just back down to 12th again. So it's Bortolotti, who's becoming a thorn in the side of the Montpass by Land Audi. And look who's behind, Sven Muller.
Absolutely, and Sven Muller takes no prisoners, as we both know. And look how he moves into the back end of the Ricardo Feller car that we run on board with now.
So they continue along the pit straight. That's Simone Di Silvestro, has dropped back 6.8 seconds back from Matteo Jaminet. So Di Silvestro hasn't really carried on the performance, would you say, that Klaus Bankler started off with. And the Niken car in 3rd place. Joel Eriksson just hanging there in 4th place. That's a good job. But look at this. Never have we focused on a battle for 12th place quite so closely, because the championship suddenly is in the balance.
Well, let's be honest. Sven Muller owes Ricardo Feller no favours, and he's not going to offer him any. If he can get by, he's going to get by.
And his fellow Porsche driver, I'm not saying that there's any collaboration there, but it's a Porsche that leads the way and is contention for the championship, and he would dearly love to get past Ricardo Feller. You wonder if it's only a matter of time. Now, Feller drops down to 13th. That will give him just 3 points from this race. Now, coming into this, he had 193, so that would make it 196. And according to my calculations, Lemmermuller would have 195.
Oh, and look at this.
Look at that to the inside. So that's Simone Di Silvestro coming under pressure from Rolf Niken, who's still under investigation. But Silvestro looks like she's potentially going to get hung out to dry, because if she does allow Niken on the inside, they could all come through. And this is a squeeze for John Eriksson. Brilliant stuff. And here comes Yusuf Awega as well on the inside of Igor Van Lilko. Great stuff. So Rolf Niken in 3rd place. Round the outside goes John Eriksson. Can he make it stick the long way around in Niken, trying to keep it planted? But John Eriksson is soon going to have the inside for the next corner. That is why John Eriksson is a world-class driver. Absolutely brilliant. Wrestling 3rd place away, but now Niken coming back. Rolf Niken, who is a very experienced driver. And in there is Simone Di Silvestro. No, that's... Is that Di Silvestro that's in there? So she has dropped back in all of that. Simone Di Silvestro, who is going in the wrong direction down the field.
Oh, look at this. The Mercedes are really in the thick of it here. With Raffaele Marciello, we know what a physical driver he can be.
He takes no prisoners. He'll have his elbows out. Look, and there in the middle of all of that, it's Ricardo Feller, championship leader. Also there, Jeffrey Schmidt in the Callaway competition Corvette. And they're all piling into the corner. We need them all to make it around. 17 minutes plus 1 lap of this race remaining. And it really is wide open on every level. Incredible stuff.
Oh, absolutely extraordinary racing. This is proving why the GT Masters is so good.
10 seconds is the lead of Matteo Jaminet over Joel Eriksson. And look at this from Marciello. You saw him go on the inside. Was it Kim Louis Schramm that was in there? Certainly it was Jesse Krohn. A little barging and banging, and Marciello is through on the inside. I think he's still a little bit sore about the fact that he's not in the championship hunt. Right, graphic on the bottom of the screen.
Race laps for Wells in Africa. The donation, 47,844 euros, because 11,961 laps. Explain more about the Wells.
For each completed lap of every car this season in the ADAC, the BWT and ADAC are jointly donating €4 to the Be-Water mission. I'm trying to squeeze it in. This mission builds wells primarily in the rural areas of the Gambia and Tanzania to ensure access to clean drinking water. I hear a rumour that the ADAC are going to top that up to €60,000. That is awesome news. Look at the damage on the front of Marciello's car.
If that is not a rumour, you've just made them really cross. Right, Jaminet is leading. Here is Ricardo Fella that we're on board with now. So Ricardo Fella in a real battle there with the Corvette of Jeffrey Schmidt. Jeffrey Schmidt, another very physical racer, no question about that. So Ricardo Fella ahead of the Jeffrey Schmidt car, and look at this.
Wow, that is where that damage came from, and that is classic Marciello, I have to say. Really getting down and dirty with it. Some would say that was a little bit of a love tap. That was a little bit more than that, maybe.
Ta-da, chap, you're going in.
You kissed him, I almost snogged him. So that was Yusuf Owega, who was the receiving end of Marciello.
We're on board with Kim Louis Schramm, looking back at the car of Ricardo Fella. Forgive me interrupting you, but
Fella's up to 11th though.
Indeed, he's got the hurry up, hasn't he? He's taken a fast pill, and now realises that he needs to get this job done, because Jaminet, well, he's 10, nearly 11 seconds up the road. Meantime, last showing of the bathtub, the BMW M6 GT3 car, so called by another racing driver, not me.
Okay, yeah. I wish I had a bathtub like that, I have to say. Yes, that's Jesse Krohn at the wheel of that, you know, yes.
And here's Fella again. Kim Louis Schramm again. Brilliant action that we've got going on here. This is amazing stuff. And they're fighting over P10 and 11, I think.
No further action for Rolf and Eichen for the unsafe release. So third place is safe. Simone Di Silvestro down to fourth. I would say she's not safe because nobody's getting in the way of Marciello this weekend. You saw the Callaway competition Corvette getting airborne over the chicane. He hasn't taken that corner at any point during this race. Here comes second place Joel Eriksson, 10 seconds behind the leader. And there's Simone Di Silvestro blocking, or defending, blocking's a bit cruel, defending from Rafael Marciello. Marciello goes to the outside. Di Silvestro tries to run him wide, and
that's a mistake.
Marciello says, don't you do that to me. I'll put you in the barrier, mate. And here comes Owega as well. So Yusuf Owega through on the inside, and poor old Simone Di Silvestro, she took over from Klaus Bachler, who led, and remind you, that car's been leading this race.
It's amazing.
And is now, though, down in sixth place. I think I'll make that.
Once you let one through, not let one through, but once one goes through, it's like a train of cars, isn't it? You know, you get mugged.
Hung out to dry, I think, is the technical expression. We're running on board with Ricardo Fella. That's a replay of him getting past Kim Louis Schramm. And that would be for 10th place. So Fella is doing what he needs to do to get this championship back under his control. It means that Jaminet, well, he can go and win by as many seconds as he wants.
Well, you mentioned that. May I say, Joel Eriksson has taken a 10th out of Jaminet's lead.
But in that case, I think that he should be in the lead by Tuesday, by my calculations.
Well,
12.5 minutes left.
Here comes our race leader then, avoiding the debris, and crosses the timing line. There is our P2 driver, Joel Eriksson. We've got 12.5 minutes left. There is, last time around, there was 10.5 seconds. No, it's come down a little bit. Joel is on a chase here. We've got 12.5 minutes left.
I have to say, this is going to be a tense 12 minutes for Monteblas by land, because a puncture, a spin, a breakdown, anything at all now, and the championship will go to SSR Performance. They need everything to work in their favour, and running over debris, which could happen so easily here,
or getting involved in a
battle with the number 10 car of Jesse Krohn, anything like that, you can get a puncture or damage the car, and their championship will be over in an instant.
Oh my goodness.
It's a tense close to the season. The Monteplas by land team, who were hoping for something a little less stressful when they came into this afternoon, well, if I was in the team, I'd probably be out the back with my head in my hands because I couldn't watch the screen. This is very tense indeed.
Well, what's also tense is the fact that Matteo Jaminet can do no more than win the race. He's got to stay in P1, hasn't he? And just hope that disaster befalls Ricardo Fella, who is now in P10. See, all you need is something broken, a steering arm broken, and you collect that car through. I mean, everyone just takes those sausage curbs through the chicane.
Yeah. They just go over them, don't they?
Like they weren't there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the team will be on the radio to Ricardo Fella, telling him what the situation is and probably encouraging him not to go mental and push too hard. Ahead of him is Jesse Krohn in the BMW. Simone Di Silvestro, who's still continuing the wrong way down the field, and into the pits comes Lucas Stoltz. Now, whether there is a mechanical issue or whether they've just said, we're fed up with this, it's not been our afternoon, let's park it up, remains to be seen. But the season comes to a close for championship challengers, and what a shame. They have been consistent all season long, apart from that monstrous accident they had at the Red Bull Ring.
That's going.
Which saw the car all but written off. Apart from that, they have been very, very strong all season long, with consistently, I mean, they've finished in second place more times than they haven't. But sadly, their championship challenge for this year is over. They will not have their names on the trophy for 2021 and will be already setting their sights on 22.
So, Jesse Krohn and Ricardo Fella is the lap time and lap comparison we give you now, and it is very busy out there, and Simone Di Silvestro has Max Paul now to the inside of Fella.
Fella did not put up any sort of fight at all.
That was sensible, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and the team would have told him that. Next up, it's Kim Louis Schramm. Now, it might be that Kim Louis Schramm will be a little less eager to get through in the other Audi. Well, that remains to be seen. But yeah, Fella didn't even attempt to put up a fight, did he?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And whilst I hear what you're saying about the fact that it's a same brand behind now, I'm not so sure that Kim Louis Schramm is not going to give it everything, because different team running in P12.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got the opportunity to take P11. Are you going to take that? Of course you are, I think, but it remains to be seen.
Well, Fella can afford to let Schramm through. If Muller gets through as well, it's going to get critical. We've already proven how critical my maths is, so we'll let the people who know do the calculations. We're looking back from Mirko Bortolotti. He's currently in 7th place. We haven't said much about him today. He had that issue at the beginning of the race yesterday that saw him eliminated. Igor Valilko in 6th place. Well, now make that 7th because they've swapped positions.
Yep.
And Bortolotti proving how mighty the Lamborghini Huracan is in the second half of this season. As the sun sets on the Nürburgring, it's Mirko Bortolotti who claims 6th place from Igor Valilko.
Wow, we have had some great entertainment, haven't we? And that was Max Paul getting by Ricardo Fella, who he vaulted, didn't he? It was like
bounced from the side.
Back up. Sports day at school, wasn't it? Using the thing. What was he called?
The thing. Yeah, the thing. Well, the egg and spoon race carries on at the front. It's Matteo Jaminet, 10.243 seconds. Back to Joel Eriksson. I don't think Eriksson's going to be able to do anything.
Because Rolf van Eycken is back with Eriksson now. There's only 3/10 between them.
And Marciello's not out of it either, so he could do with a little podium finish. I have no doubt about that. Right, Ricardo Fella closing back in on Max Paul. You can see there 3 points in it if the championship finishes now. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and it's slightly different to what my calculations were, but you really don't want to be trusting those because I'm always on the fiddle. So Christopher Mees, 198 if things finish as they are now.
Car 71 has got to fall back behind car number 29 for overtaking off the track. Okay. Which was when he took the high jump over the sausage curbs.
Yeah, that's a sensible move from the race stewards rather than a drive-through penalty, but that will help Ricardo Fella no end. And there's Christopher Mees looking on very nervously. This is going to be the longest 7 minutes plus 1 lap of his life. So there you can see confirmation. Car 71 has to fall back behind car 29 for overtaking off the track. And that's exactly what he has done. So he's got all that hard work to do again. and Ricardo Fella continues in 10th place, and that gives him just a little bit more of a cushion. Right, here comes Max Paul, deja vu. In the meantime, Sven Muller is pushing forwards behind, making a move past Kim Louis Schramm. So lots of chopping and changing behind. Ricardo Fella needs to stay out of trouble here. Here comes Max Paul on the outside. Ricardo Fella desperate not to damage the car in any stupid battles, but he's having to drive defensively because he doesn't want a whole host of cars coming through. With Jaminet at the lead of this pack, Ricardo Fella must score points in this race. He cannot afford to fall back behind Jeffrey Schmidt. So he's got a lot of work to do in this last 5.5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. And as long as Max Paul is there, that's almost stopping anybody else from challenging. But you can see that Ricardo Fella is having to give it everything he's got to keep that Lamborghini behind him. The headlights are blazing, filling his mirrors, trying to intimidate him. Car 69 receives a black and white flag. That's just a warning for leaving the track and gaining an advantage, and that would be Florian Spengler. Spengler running in 15th place. So we are in to the last 5 minutes plus 1 lap of this 2021 season for the ADAC GT Masters. The winners will be crowned the International German GT Champions, and that's the first time they will have that title. It's new for this year, and the main contender is the pilot in that car there and his co-driver, and that of course is Ricardo Fella and Christopher Mies. We're looking at Ricardo Fella now. As you can see how nervous and tentative he is. They have driven so well all season long. They have scored a number of pole positions. They have led a number of races. They are one of only 2 teams to have won 3 races this year. And the other team that have won 3 races are currently looking set to make it 4, because that's SSR Performance with Matteo Jaminet and Mikael Ammermuller. Right, here's a replay. And that was Ricardo Fella and Max Paul swapping places. So that was, I believe that was the initial one, because Fella is still showing as in front of Max Paul. So I think that's just a replay of, no, that's, surely that is him past. So Max Paul in front of the Monteplas by Land Audi for the 2nd time. Christopher Mies, wow, I should think that he is sweating as he looks at what's happening. Our leader, Matteo Jaminet, it's a massive gap over 2nd place Joel Eriksson. There's Mikael Ammermuller looking on, wondering if he is to be the outgoing champion. Eriksson's taken a 2nd out of the lead, but look at the sparks coming out of the number 70, Raffaele Marciello. The bonnet is up, and I wonder if that car is going to make the last 3 minutes. Lots of damage, bits hanging off the car. The Mercedes has been in the walls, as it often is, and Raffaele Marciello now has Yusuf Oega looking to pick up his best result of the season if he can, and it may be a matter of time before Marciello has to give way. That car is looking absolutely second-hand as this season comes to a close. We are into the final 3 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. It is Matteo Jaminet. Look at the car vibrating as the sparks shower from it. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Very entertaining, but not necessarily a quick way round the circuit for Marciello. So Marciello holds on in 4th place. Ovega, he can see a sniff of 4th place up ahead of him. Marciello, who's not had the season that he'd hoped for, along with Maxi Boog, in 4th place, looking to just pick up what will be the dregs of the championship for him. And the front of that car looks like it's about to part company with the back half.
It's going to fall off any moment, isn't it? It's going to fall off.
Absolutely brilliant. We are into the last 2 minutes of the season. It is race 14 of a 14 race season. You can see it vibrating apart.
It is going to destroy.
It's amazing. The bonnet is up. I wonder whether the stewards might call that into the pits. And look at the brake disc glowing.
Because the air coming through the front is really being compromised, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And the Vega, surely, whether Marciello can hold on. No, he can't, and he now gives way to not only Vega, but Bortolotti is through as well, so down to 6th place. But 10 out of 10 for entertainment. They said there'd be fireworks at the end of this race. I didn't think they meant it from one of the cars. Raffaele Marciello down to P6, and that is a great job by him, just keeping the thing on the track. We are into the last minute plus 1 lap of this 2021 of the ADAC GT Master season now, and the clock ticks down the closing stages of the season as the sun sets over the Nürburgring. The sparks on that Mercedes look even more spectacular, and that is an incredible shot as you see the sparks coming from the car. Behind him, Ilgor Velilko will be looking to relieve him of that position.
And he'll be able to do it, I think, Brian, because he's closing in at such a rapid rate of knots.
That car is crippled, isn't it? Beyond crippled. Yes, the last 30 seconds of timed racing. Now, yes, where is Riccardo Fella? He's still in 11th place. Paul did get past him, as we saw in that replay. Behind is Kim Louis Schramm, and Riccardo Fella just needs to hold off Kim Louis Schramm. It's going to be a whole lot closer than they anticipated in this championship. You can see Max Paul, he's been taking his pills this morning, hasn't he? He's been getting his elbows out to everybody. He barges the Yesa Crow car off at the chicane, almost loses it himself.
And that's why Riccardo Fella got back on terms with Maxi Paul.
Yes, absolutely. And just now holding station, I have to say, it doesn't look to me like Kim Louis Schramm is going to make much of a move on it. It's going to be Riccardo Fella who holds on to that 11th place, and by my reckoning will take this championship. We will very shortly be commencing the final lap. Matteo Jaminet leads the way in the final race of the ADAC GT Masters 2021. We're looking at Riccardo Fella. This is going to feel like the longest lap in history. Matteo Jaminet leading from Joel Eriksson and Rolf van Eycken. You see the view from Riccardo Fella. He just needs the car to hang together. No punctures, no problems, no dramas, and nobody trying to overtake him, please. That's what he says. Here we go then. On to what I reckon will be the last lap for Matteo Jaminet. Here comes Joel Eriksson, 6.3 seconds, so the gap has all but halved. And he continues on his way on the final lap, and I would suggest that Jaminet is probably backing off. Look at this here, and
Fella is going for it. He is going for it, Brian.
Well, this could be the championship in the balance. He doesn't need to do this. He could let in Kim Louis Schramm. So Riccardo Fella, we said this would go to the last lap, the last corner of the last lap. Well, this is the last lap. And Riccardo Fella, well, I suggest he's playing with fire because he just needs to finish where he is. He's now showing in 9th place. So I think Marciello has dropped back and that's helped him, but there's a real scramble behind. So keep an eye on this because Riccardo Fella, he's showing in 9th place at the moment. He can afford to lose a couple of places, but
he can't afford a DNF
behind. And this is going to be seat of the pants stuff. Our race leader, Matteo Jaminet, is currently heading up to the chicane for the final time and is undoubtedly going to take this win. Here he comes to exit the final corner for the final time this season. Matteo Jaminet for SSR Performance, the defending team taking the win. They've done all that they can. The flames erupt around the Nürburgring. Right, who is going to be the champion? Our eyes are now on Riccardo Fella. If he could cross the line in 10th place, he will be the international German GT champion of 2021. So out of the corner he comes. Riccardo Fella is champion. He finishes in 10th place. Riccardo Fella winning the ADAC GT Masters Championship for 2021. Celebrations in the pits. Wow. Got a bit excited there. The SSR Performance team, they put on a valiant fight as they surrender the trophy.
Look at Christopher Mees. Did you see Christopher Mees in the carriage?
Ich möchte einfach allen einfach danken, die mitgearbeitet haben. Familie, Freunde, alle, die da sind. Danke für den Support, das Ganze war mega, ja. Ich bin einfach überglücklich. Danke, danke, danke.
Well, I don't know what that said, but I'm sure it was lots of congratulations. It was all about consistency all season from the Monteplas by Land team. They made it go to the absolute end, didn't they? Yes, it didn't.
Championship, the driver championship, and the junior.
And the I think he said and the junior championship as well. Ricardo Feller was just at the top of that. Kim Louis Schramm was his main challenger,
Which is why
he was so keen to get past. So just trying to listen in on the radio. They didn't make it easy for themselves, as is often the way. I think I might have shouted a little bit too much.
Right, not being funny, Christopher. Where's the ticket to Mallorca?
Yes, absolutely. I would remind you, he did say he was going to take the team and the commentators on a free trip to Mallorca if he won the championship. And I will send you my number when you want it, Christopher. So here come the rest into the pits. Our race winner, let's not detract from them, Matteo Jaminet, Mikael Amamola. Well, had it not been for some unfortunate incidents mid-season where they just got caught up in silly little incidents, they could have won this championship. It went down to the wire. But ifs, buts, maybes, they say if my granny had wheels, should be my bike, and that would be the case with Matteo Jaminet and Mikael Amamola. You know, just one more place, one more podium, and the championship would have been successfully defended. But ifs and buts, that's what motor racing is all about.
And from our point of view as race fans, what do we want to see? We want to see close racing, and we want it to go to the last race, don't we?
Yeah.
And by Jiminy, it has delivered. So they're the top three in the race: Matteo Jaminet, Joel Eriksson, and Rolf Nijken. We mustn't, of course, lose sight of the fact that they've won the race.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very difficult when you get to a championship winning scenario where, unfortunately, the race winner kind of gets overlooked a little bit for the championship winner. But
and especially more poignant, seeing as they are the outgoing champions as well, of course.
Yes, fair point you make.
Matteo Jaminet, he is a former champion himself, having won it in 2018. So both he and Mikael Amamola have tasted championship glory in their time. But this year, it's not to be. Christopher Mies becomes a two-times champion.
Yes, he does.
Congratulations to him.
And I seem to recall I was there first time around. I think it was.
Yeah, 2016, so you would have been, wouldn't you? Ricardo Feller, it'll be his first championship, and he will be ecstatic with that. I have to say that I should think they have bitten their nails down to the bone in those last few laps, because it really did look all in peril at the end, didn't it?
Oh, and that's nice. Congratulations being afforded.
So running up towards the podium, we're hoping to carry on.
No, I always think this. You see as his jogging partner alongside him, you know, they've obviously had printed the T-shirts. And I always think I really wouldn't want to be the person.
No.
There you can see. I wouldn't want to be the person that makes the decision to print those, because it's a bit
premature.
Well, it's, you know,
some would say it's bad luck. I think Michael Schumacher discovered that one many years ago in Formula One, and the furnace was at full power straight after the last race of that particular season. But in this instance, well, it came pretty close, didn't it? The jeopardy was there to the very end, and I did start to wonder whether this was going to slip away from them.
And they're the two drivers that have done it. And they share in the success. And Matey Dick will be
Matey Dick.
Gets involved.
Matey Richard, yeah. You can see them celebrating together. Of course, the Monteplas by Land team.
There you go.
Who authorised that?
I would actually bring the printing machine to the circuit, I think, and I wouldn't dare press go.
Yes, Monteplas by Land, legendary team in the world of GT racing, of course. So they have provided that car, and we will wait for confirmation on the team champions, purely because the maths, well, we've already proven that that's not my strong point. but I believe that SSR Performance will not be successfully defending their championship. Yeah, Jules Vantor, real hot property in GT racing at the moment. He is there to congratulate as well.
So there, the congratulations continue, and Ricciardo's in no hurry to remove the hands device and the crash helmet.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of celebrating. I think there's going to be some sore heads tomorrow morning after this. The party will go on into the night, I have no doubt at all. And that is going to be quite a celebration. You saw the flames erupting from the side of the pit straight as the cars crossed the line. And there really is quite a party taking place. Monteplas by land. In the with the driving skills of Christopher Mies and Riccardo Fella have won the championship.
I'll tell you what, we've only just got the race away in time.
Yeah, the darkness has descended, and very soon it will be pitch dark. So the drivers are going to make their way to the podium. We are hoping that we can bring you the ceremony both for the champions and also for the race winners. I believe it's going to be the champions first.
Yeah.
And at last,
we get to see Riccardo Fella. And yeah, I mean, the relief. You can imagine the amount of tension leading up to this event. It must have been immense. There is that winning car.
Yeah, that probably is in need of an oil and filter now.
You think? Onto the roof climb. Okay, Christopher Mies, Riccardo Fella. Dent in that, yes. Don't fall off now. That would be tragic. Yes, indeed. So they jump off the roof and celebrations all around. Right, I believe we are going to see them presented with the championship trophy. And I believe you'll be able to see their smile from the other side of Germany. So the team with the t-shirts wait expectantly. And just a couple of interviews taking place. The big screen from the ADAC, the big LED screen. It's dramatic in the pit lane, lighting up the whole of this area.
As the man is about to pass the plate around with some really rather lovely sandwiches after that effort. I mean, what a race.
Yeah.
You with your blooming lozenges.
Well, you can hear in my voice that I did rather enjoy that. Apologies if the shouting was a bit loud, but hey, it was worth it, wasn't it?
Great end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Karl Langendorf there from the ADAC, I can see. Just getting ready for the presentations to get underway, I feel sure, for the championship of 2021.
So that camera shot doesn't actually show you how dark it is. It is the sun has pretty well set here at the Nürburgring. What a dramatic way to finish the season. It really could not have been orchestrated in any way if you'd have tried. It was absolutely brilliant, thrilling to the very end.
So I think the presentations are about to get underway. Christopher Mies and Riccardo Fella are standing by, of course, and they have taken up their positions ready to receive the International German GT Champions Trophy Untitled. The baseball caps go on, and they are announced as winners of the championship for 2021.
You can see the relief in their faces. That's like massive sigh of relief. National anthem time. That was a tune that we've heard many times over the years, and it's a tune that the Motorsport by Land team were desperate to hear for them here at the Nürburgring at the end of the 14th race and the final race of what has been a fantastic season.
So presentations made then, and a look at that check, which is a massive check on behalf of ADAC and BWT. The race laps are out for Lutz Hübner, the CMO of BWT AG. Look at that, 60,000 euros. You were absolutely right saying that was going to be rounded up to a very, very meaningful lump of money.
Very generous from the ADAC to increase that by such a large amount.
And there we go to the front of the car that goes.
And of course, they get to select which charity that money goes to, which is why it's been presented to them.
So Christian Engelhardt and Michael Ammermuller then, the jacket gets handed over.
It was this event last year, this race last year, that Patrick Niederhauser and Koen van der Linde handed the jacket to Mathieu Jaminet and Michael Ammermuller. Now the baton, as such, is handed on to the next incumbents.
Yeah, that's lovely. Done very properly, I have to say.
Yeah, and it shows great sportsmanship. There's nobody out the back sulking.
Well, I bet there is. But no, absolutely lovely. It's a very good fit, if I may say as well.
That's about my size, I reckon.
And right, here comes some trophies then, the silverware, which is oh so important. Look at those trophies.
Fantastic.
Held aloft. As my colleague Michele Mambelli would say, rise up your trophy, lift up your trophy with delight. You are number one.
So the jacket, which is a custom, is about to get covered in champagne. The confetti goes flying.
Exit stage left, right, or wherever you can run to. Get out of the way.
Get out of here. Of course, that is the championship. We've still got the small matter of the race to award trophies for yet, and very soon I'll focus.
Get in there and take a swig of it, friend.
I can do with some of that. Yes, to the podium next, because very shortly it'll be the turn of Mathieu Jaminet and Michael Ammermuller to pick up some silverware.
So everyone gets together then for photographs. That before Hairy Mary with the mop sort out the championship podium, which is now something of a sticky mess. There they are, Ricardo Feller and Christopher Mies. And what about that, the delight from the team. Fair play, this whole presentation is being done very well.
That's great, and it's so nice to see the championship trophy presented at the circuit publicly for all to see.
So there we are, more congratulations being afforded to both the team and to the drivers as well. As Brian correctly identified, there was the small matter of the race podium to come as well. Local time here, around about 20 past 5 in the evening, as the sun sets on the Nürburgring and the sun sets on the ADAC GT Masters for 2021. That was brilliant. Crept up on him like a good one.
Stealth operation.
Stealth.
Indeed.
Well done, well done. Great. You know, the team is so important, and you know, all very good professional racing drivers. So very first to credit the team for, you know, they deliver. You know, race event by race event, the car that has to perform.
Yeah.
And you win and you lose, and the whole team shares the emotion of success, but also shares the emotion of defeat as well. There you can see the race podium, which is where we will be seeing Mathieu Jaminet, Joel Eriksson and Rolf van Eycken and their respective driving partners as well. But of course we've got to head them up to the podium because they will have very much been part of making the ambience and atmosphere below for the International German GT Master Championship presentation so vibrant down there and here in the pit lane in and at the Nürburgring, which is where we are and where the season has played out for 2021. So we're not many moments away from that podium getting underway.
And the team with their new t-shirts.
Yeah.
The curse has been broken. And that's going to take a bit of cleaning up, isn't it?
XXL and BB up here. That's
no
blooming big.
I was getting nervous then. There's Max Paul in the waiting area.
The legend that is Patrick Simon, who is going to be in charge of the podium presentation.
And there's Rolf and Eichen and Frank Pereira.
Rolf did a good job today.
He
There's
did.
Mikael Ammermuller.
They've really come to the front at the end of this season of Rolf and Eichen and Frank Pereira.
And Joel, what's happened to the racer again, friend? I've told you about this before.
Batteries are flat, mate. So we're hoping that they'll be onto the podium soon. In the cool-down room at the moment, just comparing notes. Or not.
Podium presentation area, I think you'll find it's called.
Cool-down room every time.
Okay. As you wish. Hey, Mikael Ammermuller there, enjoying the conversation with the Rolf and Eichen.
Big smile on his face, so clearly not too... Well, he's clearly distraught about not winning the championship, but it was going to be a long shot coming into this weekend.
And, you know, he will rue the bad luck that they've had.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this, the race laps for Africa, 60,000 euros. That's going to do some good, isn't it?
And that is for clean drinking water in the Gambia, Tanzania, and providing clean water. They say BWT changing the world sip by sip, and indeed that's what they are doing. They have they've changed the paddock area because they got rid of all the plastic bottles, and it is a plastic bottle-free zone, and that is a step forward.
Absolutely. And you are in possession of your very own BWT bottle, are you not?
I am, yes.
Stuffed full of something other than water, I suspect.
Absolutely stuffed full of nothing at the moment, just air. But hey, I think we're all going to need a drink after that race, aren't we?
Like it's over. Right. So, as you can see, plenty of media focus on the champions and the championship team, of course, down there, as you would expect. Before we'll be heading up for the... I hope that they've had a think about getting some lights for the podium.
It's a bit dark up there at the moment, isn't it? And maybe maybe the podium's going to happen down here after all. There's a lady with a mic there.
And a man with a mop.
The mic and the mop, that sounds like an Agatha Christie book.
Yes.
Right, so yes, 60 grand, that is pretty amazing. And the money donated by BWT and the ADAC for every racing lap completed by every car, every race of the year. Oh, here we go.
Patrick Simon barking into the microphone and bringing out the winners' ceremony, which sadly
it was not the time to be wearing black, was it?
Could do with a couple of AA batteries, couldn't we?
So Mikael Ammermuller, they are the. Someone's just decided. Someone's got their phone on, I think, and lit them up. Go on, put it back on.
It's the top light from one of our cameras.
So Jaminate Ammermuller to the top step, and Joel Eriksson on the. The rest of the drivers come through. And now a representative from SSR Performance. And the rest of the SSR team looking on. So, as you were, National Anthem once again. So that's the national anthem done, and now the trophy presentation somewhere in the darkness. Hubner from BWT very appropriately awarding the winner's trophy. Over there somewhere. Marco Holzer and Joel Eriksson receiving from Jürgen Hecker. It really is fumbling around in the dark a little bit here, isn't it? Maybe next year we'll get some floodlights. Having said that, we're a lot later in the season than anticipated. Of course, the season close originally scheduled to be Hockenheim, so we weren't anticipating running in November, but it has been a thriller here at the Nürburgring. Third place trophy has been presented to Frank Pereira and Rolf Vinayken. And the trophy for SSR Performance. I have to say, they fought valiantly to the end, and they certainly did not disgrace themselves as they surrendered their championship.
Sparky the dog is getting on the act as well.
He's going for it, he is. Right, darkness descends, just the flashes of the camera lighting the whole of the pit lane. It is a season that promised a lot and delivered even more.